So obviously it's been a long time since I uploaded a video to YouTube, and if you aren't following me on Twitter, then you probably don't know why. But just to let you folks know who are subscribed to my YouTube, and maybe to remind those who maybe didn't see my tweet, I had a lot of personal stuff going on, a lot of stuff going on in my private life, and I like to keep those things private as much as I possibly can. So I'm not going to go into detail about what's been going on, but just know that I've had to deal with some tough stuff in my personal life lately. It's multiple things, not just one thing. I hope that you'll respect the fact that I like to keep this private, and hopefully you won't try to do any guesswork or speculate or put any crazy rumors out there. But the bottom line is I just had some stuff that I need to deal with, and so that kind of caused me to have to take a break from doing content on a regular basis, which kind of sucked because if you watched, an update video a while back, you'll have known that it was a real goal of mine to put out consistent content, to try to do, 3 or so videos a week, and I held up to that for a couple of months. But sometimes real life shit gets in the way, and sometimes, your personal mentality, health, and things going on with family and friends take precedence over your career and what you're trying to accomplish with your hobby / job or what have you. So I've kind of had to take a step back and really focus on my personal life, so to speak, kind of focus on me a little bit, and that's really taken away from me doing content for the past few weeks. Now, I don't know how much longer it's going to take before I can start putting out regular content again. I hope that I can get back to doing things like Behind the Play and doing my Dust Discusses videos on different news topics and stuff out there, or analyzing certain things. But for right now, I did want to at least put this video out there to let everyone know who hasn't seen content from me for a while that the reason is I'm just going through some things that I need to focus on outside of my life as a content creator, commentator, analyst, yada, yada, yada. But I did want to give an update because, like I said, I hadn't done any content in a while, and I don't know if anybody saw what I tweeted or, whatever. And also because there are some events coming up that I'm going to be going to, which have already been announced. As I'm recording this video, the DreamHack Summer announcement just got made for the talent, and then, a little bit while back, it was, of course, the Asian minor stuff being announced. And, of course, I'll be commentating with Metuz at both of those events. Super excited to be at both those events. And I guess the point is that even though I'm kind of laying back on the content to kind of focus on things going on in my life, I'm not holding up on going to events. I'm still on the grind. I'm still looking to pursue as many opportunities that I can. It's just when I'm at home, when I'm not at an event, I need to focus on other things right now. Part of that is also focusing on my health. Many people know that I've been trying to lose weight and get in better shape, and that is definitely something I'm still doing. I have made progress in those areas. I will say that I kind of hit a plateau for a bit because I was really busy with traveling with DreamHack Austin and DreamHack Tour. I basically wasn't around, anywhere for a couple of weeks. I was, all over the place for that span of a couple of weeks. But other than that, for the most part, I am making some progress in those areas, and I will continue to do so. But yeah, so first up is going to be the Asian minor. I actually leave for that on the 30th of May, and I'm going to not get back home from that until June 6th. Of course, the event runs June 1st through June 4th, and it's going to be very long days, because I think we have to do every day. We have the first 2 days are 3 best of 1s and 2 best of 3s for day 1 and day 2, and then day 3 and day 4 are 3 best of 3s each day. Me and Metuz are the only commentators there. They, of course, have analysts and a desk host and all that good stuff, and maybe one of the analysts will step in and do a little bit of commentary to give me or Metuz a break or something, a game. Who really knows? But definitely going to be very busy. And it's also going to be really interesting because these are obviously teams that I don't really work with on a regular basis. I'm obviously familiar with some of the players that are on Tyloo and Flash from when Tyloo was going to international events last year. I'm obviously very familiar with Renegades because they play in the North American scene, and Nifty, someone that I know from, when he played with Selfless and all that good stuff. So there's definitely some familiarity there for me for some of these teams, but there's also some teams that I'm not very familiar with, like the teams from Thailand, like 7642 and Signature, not that familiar with them. Mongols has been through a lot of changes since the days of Machine Gun and Zilkenberg playing together at IEM Taipei and the IEM Katowice event and things like that. So, not as familiar with them anymore. Don't really know too much about Spotnet, for example, that came out of the Middle East qualifier. And still really learning even about a team like Immunity, who, has had a couple of core players who have remained for quite some time now, but obviously, someone like Wizard is just stepping in for this event, so they don't really necessarily have I don't know if they really have a set full 5 going forward. And that's just to touch on some of the teams. Obviously, it's going to be interesting working with a bunch of teams that I don't work with on a regular basis. And I will say that I've definitely been putting in a lot of prep work to still be ready to bring insight to the table as a color commentator at this event. You know, I've been going through demos from these teams to kind of get an eye for how they play the game. Granted, for some of them, there isn't that much out there with their full five. Like, for example, Flash has pretty much only played in the Asian Minor Qualifier, and that's really about it since they put their five together after all the Tyloo drama and things like that. Even a team like Spotnet, you know, a couple of their players, or actually 3 of their players, are relatively new. It seems like only a couple of their guys, like Issa, that's how you pronounce his name, and Zero Cool, are like the only ones that have played a decent amount, and the other 3 seem to be kind of fresh faces, and all they've played together is like one tournament outside of the Asian qualifier and then the Asian qualifier, the Asian minor qualifier, right? So for some of these teams, and then 7642 obviously is basically a couple of newer faces mixed with some old Signature players that have played on Signature at some point in time, and they've kind of come together, and really the only thing that they've played in is like one other tournament and then the Asian minor qualifier. So it doubly hurts because it's a region I'm not as familiar with, so I don't work with it as much, and on top of that, a lot of these rosters are somewhat newer as far as how many games they even have under their belts as a lineup. The same could even be said about Renegades just bringing in Nifty and Nexa. So it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I'm definitely picking up what I can find, you know, putting stats together about results and, you know, player form and like what players' roles are, and again, like generally how they approach the games, some of the tactics they like to run. The normal research I would always do for any event I'm preparing for, I am doing for the Asian Minor, and I've been working with Blah, official Blah. I'm sure you know of him. He's been at Asian Minors in the past, and he's kind of considered one of the experts of the region. We've had a couple of conversations already. We're going to have more conversations leading up to the event, kind of comparing notes and kind of me asking him questions to learn things. And so I'm definitely doing as much as I can in the amount of time that I have since I found out that I'm going to the event to try to be as prepared as I can be. Obviously, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not going to be perfect. That can be said for every event I'm going to go to, no matter what my level of familiarity with the teams are, but I'm definitely going to be trying to do my best, obviously, and it should be a good time. Again, it's great to be able to work with Metuz again. It's going to be great to work with PGL for the first time. You know, stepping out and working with a new company is always great. It's just always neat to kind of step into a new setting, so to speak, and get to meet up with new people, and even to hang out with some familiar faces, right? You know, someone like Natu is someone I worked with, you know, at DreamHack Tour, but that was the only event I've ever worked with him at. He's going to be at this event as an analyst. I've never met Blood before in person, though we've talked online a little bit, so it'll be cool to meet him. Obviously, Red Eye is going to be there as well as a host. I worked with him at DreamHack Leipzig, I believe it was, and that was the only time I had met him. So again, there's a lot of cool things going on. It's going to be cool to go to, you know, Romania, go to Bucharest. I've never really been to Eastern Europe, and so it's going to be really cool to go to a new place, obviously. I think I'm even going to get to stay there an extra day after the event's over, just the way my travel arrangements worked out. So I'll have, like, you know, almost a whole day to maybe do even a little bit of exploring of Bucharest before I have to head back home. So going to be a lot of fun. Definitely enjoying the challenge of kind of tackling new teams and an unfamiliar territory. And I'm just going to do my best and see what happens. Then, you know, I'll be home for about a week after I come back from the Asia Minor, maybe a little bit over a week. And then, of course, I'll be heading out for DreamHack Summer, which is going to be taking place, I believe that is the like 3rd weekend of June or something like that. I think it's like a Friday, Saturday, Monday event again, like the 16th through the 18th, if I'm not mistaken. Could be a little bit off on that, but yeah, it's gonna be cool working with DreamHack again. I've done every open event this year thus far. You know, Leipzig, Austin, and Tour. This will be my 4th time doing an open event for DreamHack, and it's great because I seem to be building a pretty consistent relationship with the folks over at DreamHack, getting good feedback from them. You know, good helpful criticism as well. Again, another event where I get to work with Metuz. So we will now have done Leipzig together, some online qualifiers for DreamHack. You know, the Subaru Invitational, we did some of that together as well. And now we're going to be doing the Asian Minor together. We did DreamHack Tour together, and we'll be doing DreamHack Summer together. So it's basically this year, we're you know, 6 months in, we've done 4, you know, we'll now have done 4 offline events together, as well as the Super Invitational Online Cup, and as well as, you know, I think we've done the online qualifier for the EU side of things for all the DreamHack events this year. So we're really starting to piece that together, I guess, is the point. Starting to, you know, get a little bit more I guess, chemistry going, so to speak, kind of, working to improve together. And it's something consistent, which is nice to have like a familiar partner that you get to work with on a regular basis. Hopefully we'll continue to be able to keep working together. It just kind of depends on if events want to continue to support that or not, if they want to continue to hire us together or not. Obviously, all it takes is for an event to want to hire one of us and not the other, for things to maybe kind of fall apart, especially if that happens on a consistent basis. But for right now, it seems to be working out really well. I'm enjoying it. Again, I think we work really well together. I think our roles really bounce off each other well. I'm clearly a color guy, an analyst. He's clearly a play-by-play guy. I think we work things out pretty well. We're good friends. We get along. And so, yeah, it's great. And it's great to be going to DreamHack Summer, because this is obviously on home turf for DreamHack at Sweden. Never been to Sweden before. Obviously, Sweden's known as one of the big countries of Counter-Strike culture. Their events in Sweden have always been highly praised, and they have great crowds. And so it's going to be really cool to be kind of tossed into that environment, like the core of DreamHack, so to speak. Like I said, basically on home soil. Their home base is in Sweden, after all. I know some of their employees come from different countries, like Mark, example, is Danish. But yeah, going to be a shit ton of fun to be able to go to Sweden and to be able to go to, like I said, a DreamHack event on home soil. Hate to be redundant there. Sorry. I didn't really plan out this vlog that much. And there's also going to be a lot of great teams at this event, obviously. SK is going to be there. We've seen what they can do whenever you look at their, results at IM Sydney and CS Summit. Of course, they'll have the EPL finals before this event at DreamHack Summer as well, to perhaps do even more. With EPL finals going on before the DreamHack Summer event, the storylines might change for a lot of these teams depending on how the results go there. But as of right now, obviously a team like SK is going to be huge. Then, of course, you'll have Fnatic on home soil with the old school 5, who have been together for a little bit now. Obviously, we haven't seen them so much offline yet. In the few times we have, there have been some struggles, not making it out of groups, for example, at Vegas and IAM Katowice. But, of course, they played a pretty good group stage at Star Ladder, managed to be able to make it to the playoffs there, and lost a pretty close best-of-3 to Na'Vi. So you'll be able to see if they can continue to build on things, see if they can still kind of make even more progress and do it for the hometown crowd. It's always going to be great to see a Swedish team on Swedish soil. We had a team like Esports, who's been great online and had a decent showing at Tour to a degree. I mean, they certainly tore it up in the group stages at least. So you got Gambit. Unfortunate they couldn't make it to Tour, especially after what they did at DreamHack Austin, and just thinking about the potential of that team in general, with some of their players being really hot and like Zeus bringing in a lot of structure to the team. So it's going to be great to see them back in action at another DreamHack event. And then the fourth European team that qualified was Singularity, which is another one of these Danish teams. Of course, we got to see Tricked at Tour, and obviously when you think of Danish CS, you think of Astralis and North and Heroic, but you got these other teams out there like a Singularity, like a Trick, like the team 1-2-3 that made it to the finals of the EU qualifier for Summer. They're going to be there, so we'll see what do they have up their sleeve. A team that you don't get to see as often at bigger events. They're going to get a chance to try to show themselves against some of the bigger name teams out there. Of course, then for the North American side, you had CLG Qualify, which of course had that great Star Series event. Or Star Ladder event, rather. That was pretty big when they beat Immortals and eliminated them from the tournament and actually made it into the playoffs. And so their players have looked really hot. They've done pretty well online. It's been a little bit hit or miss there, but so at least a team that's looked like they've gotten in better shape since they got Ricky and Finesse on board. And someone like Kusta really seems to be finding his groove, as well as Ethan. So that's obviously kind of, has become a more exciting team in North America in recent times. We'll get to see them there. Obviously, Cloud9 is going to be there. Always great to see them in action. Immortals is going to be there with their new 5th, KNG, in place of FNX. So we're going to see that storyline unfold, what they're about with their new 5. And then last, I think, so it was Immortals, CLG, Cloud9. Okay, all right, I nailed all the teams. All right, I forgot I mentioned SK first, which is the other team from the Americas region that's going to be there. So I got all 8. I thought I was going to forget one of them because I didn't actually write them down. It was really risky business there that I didn't write that shit down. Probably should have. We got through it. It's going to be a cool event. We all know the format that DreamHack uses. Again, great to work with Metuz. Machine's going to be there, who I met at Austin. Great host. Pimp, who I thought did a fantastic job as an analyst at DreamHack Tour, is going to be back to be an analyst again. Vendetta, someone who I've worked with at ECS and who I worked with at DreamHack Austin as well, going to be back in the analyst seat. Always appreciate his insight. He does have a pretty insane memory, and he does a great job, I think, as well. And then you're going to have Pansy and Rix there. And obviously, Rix is someone who I've been at DreamHack events with already at Leipzig and Tour, and someone that I've even known way back in Counter-Strike Source days, and someone I keep in touch with. It's always a hoot to hang out with him. And then Pansy's going to be there, and obviously Pansy hasn't done so many events outside of ESL. She's done some Gfinity stuff, like we were at a Gfinity Invitational event together where I was on the desk with Thorin and she was casting with Metuz. That was like middle of last year. And of course, you know, this is going to be her. I think she said this is her first DreamHack, so it's going to be really cool to see her again. Fantastic commentator, of course. You know, really enjoy her work and had a couple of fun times hanging out with her as well as the rest of the crew. And so again, it's going to be great just to be able to work with DreamHack again, keep establishing that relationship, keep establishing the duo with Metuz. You know, obviously I'm always looking to try to take critique and improve and make adjustments, as well as stick to the roots of things I know that work, as far as just the work ethic and the research that I put in, grinding demos and stats and making sure I'm as informed as possible. And so I'm going to continue to do that with these two events, continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to work as hard as I can, continue to, you know, keep my strengths intact as far as like my tactical knowledge about teams and their, you know, just the knowledge of the teams and players in general, as well as trying to find ways to make my commentary more entertaining, you know, try to work with Metuz even better as far as chemistry. Part of that is trying to become a little bit more concise rather than being so long-winded sometimes, and just different things like that. As well as maybe listening to some of the other commentators a bit more and getting a feel for some of the things that they do that I like that maybe I can incorporate and that stuff. So that's definitely all a part of the process. As far as content, again, it's going to be limited as I'm going through things, but I'll try to get back to doing things like Behind the Play and Dust Discusses and all that good stuff in the near future. I don't want to make any promises or anything like that, and then, you know, you guys feel like I let you down or I let myself down because I don't you know, hold myself accountable to something I promised. Too much in the air right now for me to be able to do that. But I would say with June being so busy, I doubt you'll see much content from me in June. Maybe I'll do another video before DreamHack Summer to kind of preview the event a bit, you know, something like that. But for the month of June, you know, until I get back home from DreamHack Summer, you probably aren't going to see much from me for the next few weeks again. Maybe once I get back home from DreamHack Summer, I'll try to put out something before the end of June. Don't really know. When July rolls around, I don't have anything else booked right now as far as events. Like after I do the Asian Minor and DreamHack Summer, that's it. That's all I know of. You know, hopefully I'll get booked for more stuff. That's obviously always the goal as a freelancer. It's also the fear of a freelancer, whether or not you're going to have that next gig come up, whether you're going to have that next contract, or whether you're going to sit around for a while waiting for something else to come your way. It's a very scary and stressful time when you don't have another event in the works as you're working events. Obviously, you do your best to put that stuff to the back of your head and really focus on doing the best job that you can at the event that you're at. And I'm very excited about these two events coming up, and all my focus is on that right now. But yeah, when July rolls around, who really knows what's going to happen? Maybe I'll get booked for more events, maybe I won't. You never really know. I can just focus on what's under my control now, which is taking care of what I have in front of me and doing the best that I can at it, and hopefully that will lead to more things. And also, outside of my personal channel, though, I still am planning on keeping up with a podcast I'm doing with Metuz called Digital Discourse, which is over on Metuz's YouTube channel. We've already put out a couple of pilots. I think we're going to be trying to put out our first official episode or what have you within the next few weeks. I think maybe it'll be after I come back from the Asian Minor and before I go to DreamHack Summer that we'll try to record that. So that might be like maybe the second week of June that'll come out on Metuz's YouTube channel. And we'll try to keep rolling with that podcast pretty regularly. Of course, that's not really CSGO or esports related. It's more focused on us talking about other interests in life, like movies and TV shows and video games we play outside of esports titles and all that good stuff. But that'll definitely continue. And that's really about it. Didn't want to make this video super long. Hope this explains things as to why you're not seeing as much content from me lately. You know, gives you a little bit of my thoughts going into events and things like that and what I'm focused on. And yeah, just trying to stay positive, just trying to work things out, and just trying to be the best that I can be in life and in my work as a commentator and analyst and all that good stuff. You know, trying not to let haters get to me, just trying to, pick out what criticism I think is valid, but then kind of tune everything else out and focus on the positive. And so that's what I'll leave you with. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please follow, subscribe for more, and catch you at these events, hopefully. If you're going to be at the DreamHack Summer, for example, in Sweden, would be great to meet you. Otherwise, hope to see you on stream. And that's it. Peace out.